Welcome. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell, share the show. Thank you for listening. I know you're like, what the hell? Yeah, that's right. I'm back. Thank you for listening. This is Joey. Let's get started. I normally don't like to date the show, but this is a very, very important time of year. It's actually weird they're both happening at the same time, but like the Olympics, the presidential election in America happens once every 4 years, and we are creeping up on the November of 2024 where the election's going to happen. And I've been gone for a while, as those of you who listen may have noticed, and I got some reasons for that, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I wanted to go into a bit of a Cyclops from X-Men previously citation on what's been happening and how this has put us in a better, even better voting position than I would have even imagined for black people. Now, I've been pretty consistent and pretty adamant on the idea that all black people needed to do to get some respect when it comes to the black vote and being strategic with our vote is withhold our vote in the midterms, which is something black folks already do because we don't really turn up in the midterm. And I told you guys then that the goal, that the tactic, the thing that would make it different would be applying a consistent narrative. The action didn't need to be different. Black folks never really vote that heavy in the midterm elections. But if you took the Democratic Party's already pretty apparent nervousness with regards to the black vote, and you added a narrative, a strong narrative of black people aren't going to show up to the polls for a specific reason from new black media, that in turn would combine to make a very, very, very scared and accommodating Democratic Party, right? Because they were going to think, oh, snap, the black vote is uninterested, and oh, they didn't even show up to the midterms when we pushed so hard for them to show up in the midterms, and we got to do something to get the black vote. I told y'all, damn, you know I'm in the hood. There's all kinds of police sirens, and anyway, I told y'all back then, I said, if we do this right, the entire 2 years leading up to the election is just going to be one long ass kissing to the black party. I mean, to the black community from the Democratic Party to get us to vote. Now, the midterms went as planned. I mean, the Democratic Party ended up gaining some seats and that red wave was averted. But the black vote, just like I told you, didn't show up. The only thing I didn't expect was that new black media, I got to be honest with you, isn't as refined as I thought it was at that time. There were only a few black channels like the Phil Scott and Tariq Nasheed and Yvette Carnell and Jason Black, you know, the usual suspects that were really consistently on code with that narrative. And so because those were the only real voices that were pushing that narrative didn't go very far. So white society was able to bury the combination of the Democratic Party not taking as many losses as we anticipated, and there not being a strong black narrative from new black media, meant that white folks were able to, at the time, kind of bury that bit of a crisis and not really speak about the black vote. Well, times have kind of changed. And as things have gone on, the black vote has consistently been turned off by the Democratic Party, and you're starting to hear more and more voices of black dissent. And now we're so close to crunch time that we're getting into the phase that I thought we'd be in about a year and a half ago, which is where the Democratic Party is now panicking. They're hitting the panic button when it comes to the black vote. And I told you back then, I said there's usually some phases that the Democratic Party is going to go to or go through before it goes into all out ass kissing mode to the black vote. Usually we don't get into all out pandering to the black vote till about September, October, right? September, October is when we're usually in the go get all of your black celebrities and black artists to tell black people to turn out to vote and scare them with something phase, right? This is where they're telling y'all got to get out to vote, y'all got to get out there now. This, your ancestors died for the right to vote now. Don't let them take that right away. That's usually what we're in that phase. But given some recent very, very important events happening with the Democratic Party and the country at large, this has been sped up a little bit. What I did not expect, I knew that Joe Biden's condition was not good based off of how the Democratic Party has been hiding him and covering for him and changing the subject. What I did not expect from a Democratic Party that created the rules of the debate with Donald Trump to favor Joe Biden, I did not expect Joe Biden to come out looking like the villain from Poltergeist, right? He looks like a ghost himself. He's looking off into the distance, looking into the deadlights of Pennywise off of the crowd. He's losing himself mid-sentence with very, very easy questions and the moderator's help. And it's so bad, Donald Trump doesn't even really have to respond to anything Joe Biden's saying, because the things Joe Biden's saying are just babbling pools of word salad, right? And it's so bad that you now have a Democratic Party that was so ardent and so in lockstep and so hell-bent on keeping Joe Biden in the race that they suspended and danced around the primaries, that they buried potential political enemies within the party, that they've spent all this political capital and all this money and all this energy trying to, pin the tail on the donkey when it comes to putting charges on Donald Trump. You've seen this party that's gone so far to make sure that Joe Biden is your candidate. Now, instantly, after this debate, which was so bad, now you're seeing people in the donor class, the people that really make the choice on who's going to be the presidential candidate in the parties, people in the donor classes asking for him to step down, openly talking about his replacement, and even going so far as to put their name on it. When you got the heir to the Disney empire openly saying, I'm not giving any more campaign money to this campaign until y'all replace Joe Biden's old ass. When you got people openly saying that, that's when you know you are in panic mode. When you got a majority of the country, talking about like 60 to 70% of the voting class saying, yeah, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. He looks way too worn. He looks way too worn. I'm not voting for that guy. Remember, this has nothing to do with black people yet. We're talking about how white people are governing their politics. White people on the left and in the center are saying, I'm not voting for that guy. So now you have the Democratic Party openly having a split between Democrats that are loyal to Joe Biden and Democrats that want to replace Joe Biden. It's looking like full-on House of the Dragon with the greens and the blacks. And you're having this fight out in public. And nowhere is that more apparent than on talking head shows like channels like MSNBC, where you have people like Morning Joe Scarborough, who's been so loyal to Joe Biden to where he's openly talked about fighting people over Joe Biden. Now you have him wondering if Joe Biden should step down, right? Now you're at the point where the people pushing Joe Biden realize that the people that they're pushing Joe Biden on aren't falling for Joe Biden, and now they have to figure out what they're going to do. So the Democratic Party is in a more desperate, more openly desperate situation than they've ever been in before. And on top of all of that, you have this black vote problem. You see, now normally with a normal, healthy, mentally vibrant president, now normally this would still be bad, but this would be the time where you would normally send Joe Biden out on campaign mode. Hey, he's losing the black vote. Have him go campaign with black candidates. Have him go campaign with black radio stations and black television stations. Have him go out there in black areas and black it up. But when you have a president that's not old, see, they've mislabeled Joe Biden's problem with the people as old. Joe Biden's problem is not that he's old. Joe Biden's problem is that he is mentally incompetent. Joe Biden could be 57 years old right now and suffering from dementia, and it would be very apparent that Joe Biden shouldn't be out there. There's nothing to do with his age. I'm sure his age complicates things, but see, Joe Biden's age would be a problem if Joe Biden didn't look healthy and physically spry. People can deal with, all right, you got to help the president down the stairs. Okay, he can't be seen going for a morning jog. He's not going to bench press 250. We're not going to have him do a push-up contest. But mentally, he has all his mental faculties with him. He's still sharp as a tack. He's still a tactful politician. He's still good at foreign policy. He can help work with our military. Joe Biden can't do any of those things. Joe Biden doesn't know where he is right now. There was literally a point where they asked Joe Biden a question in the debate, and he mumbled and bumbled for about a minute and a half. And, you know, your opponent gets a moment for rebuttal with whatever you said. And after Joe Biden got done mumbling and fumbling, they turned the mic to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump just said, and I think he was being sincere when he said this. He said, you know, I got to be honest, I don't know what he just said there, and I don't think he knows what he said either. If you listen to absolutely nothing else, politics and debates and all this kind of shit, campaigning is about sound bites. Most people did not watch that first debate. Most people never do, but they get the highlights from their favorite talking head channels, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News. And whether it was CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, in the tank for Joe Biden or against Joe Biden, you took and you clipped and you replayed that highlight. That was the entire debate. Joe Biden mumbling and muttering and going off into the good light, and Donald Trump having such an easy debate that he don't even got to say nothing. It was literally just Donald Trump sitting there looking at Joe Biden and then looking at the camera like, can you believe this guy? And that was Donald Trump talking to the American people. People can accept that their president's a liar. People can accept that their president's a cheat, that their president's a crook, that their president's dirty. People cannot accept that their president is a demented, senile, mentally incapable old man. You can't play that off. You can't have all this talk about democracy being at stake all this time, and the dude that you got defending democracy can't even wipe himself. He don't even know where he is. And mind you, this is with all of the protections that you've provided him all this time. Like I said, a normal candidate right now facing the kind of problems Joe Biden's facing with the black vote, a key voter base, you would just start campaigning in those areas. But when you got a demented old white dude, you can't do that. He might slip up and say the N-word in front of these people. I want you niggers to vote for, oh, gee, I'm sorry, I meant niggas. It could be something that, remember, a mentally capable, fully functional, cognitively functional Joe Biden, a 20-year-ago Joe Biden, even back then at his healthiest, was known as what? Joey Gaffs. He was known for saying something stupid on a hot mic. He was known for saying something goofy and causing a controversy. So you want to put a demented, reduced version of that guy out there? in front of hot mics, when you're campaigning in front of the locals, as they say, shaking hands and kissing babies, trying to look more human to the general people, those are off script moments, as off script as a political campaign can be. That's a danger zone for a guy like Joe Biden right now. So you cannot use him. Remember, you've been playing Joe Biden as close to the vest as humanly possible because you can't let him out. And this is what that's produced. And now you're in such a hole to where you got to have a guy right now or a gal right now that can go out there and win the people over. And he can't do it. He's 99.999% more likely to dig himself and his party in a deeper hole with black people and the country at large, trying to go out there and mingle. The Democratic Party is in a worse position with the black vote, and I'm focusing now on the black vote, than it was even 6 months ago. So now I'm starting to see something very, very strange. And if you're black, I'm sure you've seen it too. Something very, very strange pop up on my timeline. I'm starting to see random black people, usually from one or two demographics. It's usually black women or gay black men. But I'm starting to see black people. I'm starting to see the Democratic Party hire black people to talk on social media about the looming threats of if the Republicans get in office. And there's this big talk about Agenda 25, Agenda 2025, Agenda 2025. And Agenda 2025, for all of you guys who may not know, is a big bag of policies that the Republican Party is going to do if they get in office. And they're terrible. They're terrible. Everything bad you could imagine. The Republican Party is going to pass a motion to outlaw sunny days. It's going to be nothing but rain clouds for the rest of the time. Our weather is going to look like how the real world looks like in the Matrix, where it's just the sun's blocked out and they're using our body heat for battery energy to feed the machines. And they're going to bring back slavery. Abortions will be illegal everywhere. If you get caught trying to commit an abortion, you'll be tortured and killed. No more gays. They're going to take some letters away from the gays. They're just going to be LGs again. If you're black, random roving MAGA groups will be able to beat you up. Just everything scary that you can imagine is going to be in Agenda 2025 if black folks, and only black folks, don't save the day and keep the Democratic Party in office. And while I'm seeing these videos, I can't help but wonder to myself when I'm seeing the people talk in these videos, when did your black ass become so politically astute? I'm seeing a lot of people. I follow a lot of politics circles, black politics circles, white politics circles, everything in between. Left wing, right wing, libertarian, far left, centrist. And I've never seen these black people. And that's normally a clear indication that somebody's getting paid to play. If I can look at your channel, if I can look at your social media account, that you all of a sudden got all these Agenda 2025 warning videos to black people about. If I can look at your channel and scroll back simply a few hours, scroll back a few hours ago, a few days ago, a week or two ago, a month ago, and I can scroll back and see that at no other time did you appear to have any kind of interest in any political ongoings in this country at all, that tells me somebody came along and paid you. Somebody came along and gave you a talk. And by the way, it's a known thing that the Democratic Party, they've been open about this year, pays influencers to spread its information. They even give out awards for it. And now I'm seeing a lot of black influencers, small timers, all of a sudden come out and they real adamant. If you over there voting for Donald Trump because Donald Trump gave you a check, then you are broke. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute, Shanquisha. When did you all of a sudden start getting into politics? When did it behoove you as a black influencer on the internet that your calling is to talk to black people about politics and voting and policy? And a lot of these people, it's very, very obvious. It's very apparent they don't know what they're talking about. And that their job is to come out. See, in politics, they tell you how to talk to black people. And you don't really got to talk based facts. You don't really got to talk based information. You just got to talk with a lot of passion. You got to say things that are supposed to get under black people's skin. Accusing black people of being broke is supposed to get some sort of corrective attitude. Black people don't like appearing to be broke. So if you tell black people that if you're going to vote for Donald Trump because Donald Trump gave you a check during COVID, then it's because you're broke. Now, with any other group of people that are broke, they're just going to tell you, yeah, we're broke. That's obvious. We're literally the working class of the country. There's inflation going crazy. Yes, we're broke. But with black people, that's supposed to work as some kind of weird reverse psychology, right? We don't like to appear broke. So these type of things are made to work on black people. Excuse me. I'm noticing a lot of black influencers try to scare black people with this Agenda 2025 kick. And so like I told you, my first question was, when all of a sudden did you get so heavy into politics, Mr. Black Influencer? Because I'm looking at your page from just the other night, and it's nothing but twerk videos and product reviews and pranks, right? You just playing pranks on random people in the street. I don't really see you as somebody that I should go to for my political advice. And my second question is to the Democratic Party itself. It's 2024. This Agenda 2025 issue looks pretty lofty, looks pretty ambitious. And the Republican Party is a party that's currently having trouble even selling the idea of abortion bans to its own people. The Republican Party was not successful selling those abortion ban ideas to its own constituents, right? But somehow this party is lockstep on a huge, far-sweeping, vast, and like I said, very ambitious collection of goals. And you just found this out, Democratic Party, a few months out. That's when you found this out. See, this would be different if the Democratic Party was beating this Agenda 2025 scare tactic drum at least for a year. If you've been beating this thing for a year, pause. If you've been driving this thing home to your constituents for a year, that if the Republican Party gets back in office, they're going to push this thing called Agenda 2025, and it's going to be the worst for people. Now, when you start to push it to black people, it's got some heft because everybody knows what this is. But for you to just pull this out your back pocket, the Democratic Party, for you to just pull Agenda 2025 out of the crack of your ass in July, the day after your presidential candidate basically shits himself on live air That seems a little weird. So 3 questions. 1, where do these black influencers all of a sudden get the enthusiasm to talk politics? 2, why are you just now telling us about Agenda 2025? And 3, Democratic Party, and this is most important and is most telling for why you're having a problem getting elected. Where's your Agenda 2025? Where's your big, ambitious agenda for the new political season that the Republican Party is warning their voting base that you're going to implement if you maintain control in office? All you're telling us right now is the Republicans are going to do something bad, and the best that we can do if we get in office is make sure that thing doesn't happen. Where's your acknowledgement that things are screwed up right now under you, and that if you get reelected, you will improve things by doing what? See, for black voters specifically, and the whole vote as a whole, your biggest problem, Democratic Party, is not Donald J. Trump. Your biggest problem is the couch. Most people, and especially black people, and bold underline italics, especially black men, are considering just sitting this one out this year. If you're a black person, there's really not much, there really hasn't been much of a difference. See, this is the problem. The Donald Trump boogeyman angle would have been fine if Donald Trump wasn't seeking re-election. Black folks remember what 4 years under Donald Trump looked like. It was chaotic. It was inefficient. It was volatile. It was contentious. There was a lot of bad tension in the air between left and right, between black and white. I wouldn't mark it as efficient. At no point in time did Donald Trump come out with some ambitious plan against the blacks. At no point in time did Donald Trump come up with some clever signing into law that screwed black people over or messed us up or did anything special that the Democratic Party wouldn't also do. At no point in time. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say things were good for black people under Trump, but they weren't any worse for black people under Trump than they are under Biden. We're talking about non-optics politics, like real tangibles, laws that got passed, living conditions, kitchen table conversation, living. How are things going under this president? How much is gas? How much are groceries? How much am I getting paid? What's up with my taxes? What's up with my tax return? See, that's something that hurt Biden. We're coming fresh off of the smallest ass tax returns. Say what you want, but them tax returns were bigger under Trump. See, Joe Biden, you can point to actual things that Joe Biden, or given Joe Biden's mental capacity, let's just say Joe Biden's administration, you can point to actual things that Joe Biden's administration has passed that have hurt black people and hurt Americans and hurt working class Americans. You can point to actual things. It's not good when Donald Trump's campaign can just show you what gas prices were just a few short years under his term. He could show you what the average grocery bill was just a few years ago under his terms. And these are directly related to Joe Biden, NATO-based foreign policy. And yes, I'm aware that foreign policy-wise, there's really not that much daylight between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Keeping it real. But I just want to get everybody prepared for this first round of BS when it comes to the Democratic Party. First, they're going to send their black underlings. And for those of you who aren't aware of who their black underlings are, Remember the guys Joe Biden was cussing out during a meeting and telling them, you blacks are going to have to get behind the Hispanics if you want anything, right? These were, people remember Joe Biden saying that. I remember that video was going around. I've even reported on it. But we never talked about what black people he was talking to in that room. And those weren't regular black people. Those weren't regular constituents who had voted for Joe Biden that are now wondering why he's not doing nothing for black people. Those were all of the black underlings that work for and work with the Democratic Party. Those were all the Al Sharptons and the Joy Reids, et cetera, who are part of all these fake black groups whose job it is to get the black vote together. And they were telling Joe Biden, hey, now that we got that black vote for you and we got you in the office, remember all that shit you were talking about how black people have always had your back and you're going to have ours? Well, we need you to do these very menial, very small-minded things so that black folks feel like you're still on board with them. There was nothing anybody black was asking for in that room that was beyond the pale. They were asking for very, very small things so that they could then bring back to those constituents for all the promises they made. I don't think people remember all the promises that Joe Biden made to black voters in Georgia if he could just get in office. And the second he got in office, he told y'all, get your black asses behind these Hispanics. There's more of them than you. That was his black workers he was talking to. He wasn't talking to regular ass black folks. He was talking to his black workers like that. And these are the same people now that you see trying to cuss you out in these social media posts and tell you that you better vote for Joe Biden or Agenda 25 or, oh my God, Agenda 2025 is coming. It's going to put us all back in chains. Now, you got to go back to the drawing board and try harder than that, Biden administration. Our first round of panic from the Democratic Party is going to come in the form of all these black influencers and tastemakers and talking heads are going to be coming at us real flagrant, trying to punk the black vote into voting for Joe Biden, trying to punk the black vote into showing up, trying to scare the black vote into showing up. And this is where we play a game of chicken. This is what we, actual black voters, need to be telling other black potential voters is this is a scare tactic for them, not for us. This is some shit that should scare them, not scare us. If you really feel like democracy's on the line and Donald Trump and his administration are going to do all these horrible, scary things to the American people and to black people, then it sounds like it behooves you. You got to use their words. It sounds like it behooves you to give black people some tangibles. If democracy's really on the line like that, and the battle between good and evil is at hand, right? If it's really the long winter and the long night, and the Night King and all his minions are at the door, and the only thing that can stop it is Joe Biden getting reelected, and you really need that black vote to come through to make that happen, and it's so important, then it should be water under the bridge. It should be a few tokens of chump change for you to give us what we want. Abraham Lincoln understood what it was like when democracy was on the... See, that's when democracy was on the line. That's when the Union was on the line. The existence of the country was on the line. That was a desperate ass administration. And what did Lincoln's administration do? We'll let you niggers go if you go get the South back. Y'all help us win the war in the South and y'all can have the South. Shit. That's desperation. That's cutting the deal. Democracy was on the line during the Holy Week riots after y'all killed MLK. And you realize we shall overcome can mean a lot of things when niggas are angry, right? They don't like to talk about them Holy Week riots when black folks was whooping ass from sea to burning sea. And all of a sudden, Lyndon B. Johnson came around the corner like, oh, you mean those civil rights? Okay, hey, sure, no problem, guys. Here you go. Lyndon B. Johnson went from an open, unrepentant, unapologetic, bigoted racist calling MLK a nigger to his face to doing speeches at Howard University saying, my bad, niggers. All these civil rights are for y'all. My bad, my bad, my bad. Talk about democracy was on the line. You don't want to lose your democracy and you want us to save your democracy. You got to give us a little something, something. It's the American way. It's part of American history. And where black folks' strength in those times, where black folks drew strength from at the negotiating table was by playing chicken. The black folks during the Lincoln administration were already in such a bad position. What are you going to do? Guys, I know you guys are in bondage and y'all getting whipped every day and y'all getting worked to death by the South. But if y'all don't help with this civil war, the South's going to win. They're going to make everybody slaves. You got black folks like, and? How you going to scare a bunch of slaves about the South winning the Civil War and what the world's going to be like when they already live in that world? Right? Guys, if you guys don't stop them, though, they're going to start doing stuff to us white folks here up north. And? What's they got to do with us? We'll let you free. Okay, now there's something in it for us. When your country was falling apart under the Lyndon B. Johnson administration, you got a Vietnam War that you're losing. It's costing you money. The country's falling apart. There's riots everywhere at home. You can't fight a war on two fronts and one of them fronts is at your doorstep. You can't do it. So you had to give black folks a little something to calm them the hell down. Do I think we can get reparations out of this? No, not realistically. That's something that's got to be incremental. But do I think that you can let me hold a little something out of America right now, black people? Yes, I do believe we can. And before anybody tells you what they can and can't do and what's impossible, let's do a swift little recap of what this administration has been able to do for other groups, right? This is an administration that in just 9 short months was able to stop all Asian hate, right? They passed a bill called Stop Asian Hate and they stopped it, right? They stopped it right in its tracks. Asian hate is done. This is an administration that with a wave of its hand was able to make hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants legal citizens that can have licenses. They can work for the police force and harass your black ass without speaking a lick of English, right? They get thousands of dollars a month in living expenses walking right over black and white homeless people in America. This is with a wave of their hand. There was no bill passed. There was no law passed. There was nothing that made it through Congress and made it up to the Senate and was signed by the president. Nothing. This is just straight up executive orders and maneuvering throughout the bills and laws that we have now. You were able to make all these people citizens and get them where they can register to vote. All this stuff. You could rather easily, just by enforcing the laws you have on the books right now, slide black people a little something. Right now. Overnight. You wouldn't have to wait until re-election to do it. You wouldn't have to see if it was something that would be popular with the American people. You could force it right through like you do everything else for everybody else except for us. And yeah, your white constituents are going to be a little mad at first, right? They'll get over it. Because you're not coming to your white constituents to get you to save democracy. You're not coming to the Mexicans. You're not coming to the gays. You're not coming to the Asians. You are targeting and begging niggas. You need niggas to do this shit. So you're going to pay a nigger fee. It's as simple as that. And one of the first things that we have to do, see, this should be an obvious sign to black people as to who these subservient blacks work for. This is common sense. All these blacks on these social media accounts that are yelling at you and telling you that you better vote for Biden, why are they not going to Biden and yelling at Biden and about what Biden better do for black people for their vote? All these black people have made themselves speakers and evangelists and representatives for Joe Biden and Joe Biden's administration, rather than speakers and evangelists and representatives for the black community to Joe Biden. So you can tell who they work for. And so it's in our best interest as black people to understand that these people don't have black people's best interest in mind. And having said that, it's in our best interest as black people to send them back packing, right? Those people need to be able to come back to the Joe Biden administration in such a way that it's clear that that line of attack on black folks isn't going to work. As a matter of fact, I'll give you guys the whole rundown of the entire Democratic Party strategy, and none of it involves any kind of concessions to the black community. The first phase, which we're in now, is the shaming and scaring tactic. It's where they send all their black minions, the ones that were in that meeting where Joe Biden was telling them to get behind the Hispanics. It's where they send all those black minions that they got on payroll, and they tell them, scare the shit out of black people into voting and turning out and voting for Joe Biden. And these black people are already scared because they know what's on the line for them is their jobs. These people have made whole careers out of being Pied Pipers of black votes for white people on the left. And if they can't come through, it's over for them. No more Al Sharpton Politics Nation. No more corny ass Joy Reid show on MSNBC. All that stuff can go away if you can't deliver me that nigger vote. So they're already petrified. They're already scared. So they're trying to pass that fear on to us. So first phase is scaring and trying to shout us into submission. When that doesn't work, here comes the divide and conquer tactic, where they try to pat black women on the head and say, you girls have been doing a good job and it's up to y'all to get y'all's men's in line to go save democracy, right? The mammy tactic. We're going to try to get the black women inside the black community to turn on the black men. There have even been videos and the stuff in the past. No sex with your man until they vote Democrat, which is really, really weird, right? If that doesn't work, when that doesn't pass the muster, they're going to turn it up a little bit more with the celebrities. You're going to see more rappers and singers because the influencers don't cut it. Now they got to go to their old standby, which is the actual black celebrities. You're going to start seeing black celebrities, Plies and shit, popping out the woodworks, telling black folks to go vote. And when all those things don't work, towards the end, where we get real desperation, we're talking about edging up to late September, early October. Then and only then will you get the Democrats beginning to start offering shit. Now they got to start straight up offering shit. And it's going to come out in the form of rumors and lies at first. You're going to hear rumors that, oh, Joe Biden's promising this and Joe Biden's going to give that to black people. And it has to come out as a rumor or a lie first, so that if we end up biting on it and voting for him, he doesn't have to back up anything because he never said anything concrete. That's not going to work this time. Remember, Joe Biden's the same sleek son of a bitch that when he took office last time, he told y'all, and people forget this. Remember the $2,000 checks? Remember Joe Biden promised everybody he was going to cut $2,000 checks to match Donald Trump's checks, and he was going to cut out $2,000 checks. And then when he got in office, he gave us an $800 check and said, well, I meant for a total of 2,000. You already got 1,200. Here's another 800. So now you got a total of 2,000. You good, right? You straight? Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I never said I'd give you an additional 2,000. I said, it was going to end up being about 2,000. And that's because black folks listened to the rumor and didn't get nothing concrete. So when they get to the point of offering shit, that's where black folks need to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that it's something in a bill. Get all the terms out very clearly. This is why it sure would be nice if one of these black faces in any of these high places was actually for black people. I want to do an episode when I got the time of just how we got here, about how our politics in the black community became something wholly symbolic, about how it's only optics now. And you can tell it's only optics now because the way the Democratic Party responds to frustrations from the black community with the Democratic Party, how they rebut that is by telling you how many token positions they filled with black people. Remember when Jen Psaki was the presidential spokesperson, the speaker, like the actual presidential speaker, and they were asking her questions about progress in the country, and her only response was, well, we got the first black so-and-so in office, and he also put a black person there and a black person there. We've been sending the message to these political parties that progress in the black community is calculated by the number of black tokens that you appoint in these menial little pointless little office spaces, in these little corny ass positions, knowing that they really can't do anything for black people from their little position. But it gives the illusion of progress. Look at all these black folks that are on this Supreme Court ticket. Look at all these black folks that are in this room right here, knowing that every last one of these black folks is bought and paid for and will do whatever a white person say to their own people. Never has any of those black faces in any of those high places ever really come in handy for black people, including the office of president. So they don't realize how the bloom has come off the rose and how black people aren't really falling for that no more. We now know that the value of a black face in a high place is $0.00. We now know it's all pandering. It's all just optics. There's really nothing that these black scare tactic administrators can really do to scare black people and say, if we elect Donald Trump or if we let Donald Trump get elected, look at all the progress we'll lose. We've had no progress. So our first battle is going to be with a lot of these YouTube content creators. And that's going to be an easy battle because these people, they're just on the take. They don't have any political passion or political knowledge. And they're just regurgitating speaking points that have been given to them by Democratic Party think tanks. All you got to do to destroy them is refute their arguments with facts. The Democratic Party thinks so little of black people and is so arrogant in their position. And this is what their real problem is. This was Hillary Clinton's real problem when she ran and lost in 2016. So arrogant and so pompous that you don't even take the time to really look at the battlefield and really look at the situation because you don't really care about us or really even other white people. And you looked at the numbers, you looked at the situation, and you made an assumption based off the number. Oh, I'm going to win by this. I don't even got a campaign over here in Michigan. I don't even got a campaign over here in Pennsylvania because those are blue states, and I don't even got a. And when the rubber met the road and it was time to get your hands and knees dirty, Donald Trump was out there kissing babies and shaking hands and shit, and you were in your little glass, you were in your tower. and you lost. And the Democratic Party's doing the same thing now. Oh, we'll send our Negro minions out to go scurry up the Negroes to vote. No, it's not going down like that this year. Black folks have been beating a very consistent drum. I haven't seen black folks be this on code and this consistent about something. And that's been, we ain't saving y'all this time. All the things that you can threaten black folks with, we've realized that we are detached from those politics. You can't tell us Donald Trump's going to kick out all these immigrants when we've been seeing for the last 4 years plus how disrespectful these immigrants are, specifically to black American people. Oh, they're going to kick out your fellow black immigrants. Nah. Hey. Good goddamn bye. We're cool with it. None of that stuff threatens us. And we're not really feeling how you coming at us with your tone. The days of you being able to send a black minion and to come talk to us with their neck snapping and all that righteous indignation, all that shit can go packing. See the two biggest things that are an obstacle for a Joe Biden administration to have to deal with when it comes to telling black folks what's going on. The two biggest obstacles are Donald Trump's presidency and Joe Biden's presidency. Both of those things have been very recent, in recent memory, and we know both of y'all don't give a shit about black people. The black vote shouldn't even be in play for Donald Trump. If the Democratic Party had been just doing the very bare minimum of what was required to keep the black vote happy. Niggas was not really asking for that much. It pains me to have to say this because the black folks that were in that room when Joe Biden told them to get behind the Hispanics, the black folks in that room were all coons. Those were all coon workers that worked for the party. I reiterate that. And I felt bad for those coons because they had did their coon thistle. They had found ways to lie, cheat, and steal and gin up the black vote to get this basically weekend at Bernie's cadaver of a president in Joe Biden over the finish line and make him become president. I reiterate every time, Joe Biden was in 4th or 5th place in the Democratic primaries without black people. He was behind Sam Brownback, Bernie Sanders. He was behind, he was damn near behind Kamala Harris. He was behind Pete Buttigieg, the gay dude. He was behind everybody. But black folks happen to have a familiarity with him because he was Barack Obama, the first black president's vice president. And we know most white men with egos could not sit there. Like, he took one on the team for white people because, like, it's not fun. You've been supreme all this damn time, and now you got to be behind the first nigger president. Like, that's got to be humiliating as a white man. And he sat there and took that shit with a smile. And black folks appreciated that, right? So we said, okay, all right, but we see you. Let's go ahead and let him be president, man. He been trying for like 30, 40 years. He always gets kicked out on a scandal. He's either caught plagiarizing some shit or he say something dumb in front of the world and lose his spot. He's an idiot, but he was our idiot. He was a good boy. So we'll reward him. Black folks just easily gave you the office of president. Wasn't even no effort. And those coons who had worked so hard to get and trick black people into voting for you, all they wanted was a little something. And you didn't offer them a goddamn thing. If you won't even look out for your coon blacks like that, we know you're not doing nothing for us regular blacks that are out here voting for you. And once again, I'm gonna drive this home once again. This was while black folks and only black folks were fighting overt and heavy-handed voter suppression. You had black folks waiting out in line waiting out in line in bad weather, waiting past the polling closing times to go vote for a dude who they later found out wasn't going to do shit for them. You had old black women waiting in line, standing up, because the Republican Party was doing everything they could to make sure niggas' votes didn't count. You had older black people, older black women waiting in line, standing up, busing their black ass friends and stuff like that to the voting polls, dealing with getting harassed by police and shit like that just to vote like it was 1863 for a president that they later came to find out was not going to do shit for them. And you want niggas to go do that again. Joe Biden's administration act like black folks haven't sat here and lived through 3.5 years of a Joe Biden administration. Black folks are the only people who you and your vice president have said on record, I'm not going to do shit for. That was damn near part of your campaign. Vote Biden Harris 2020. We're not going to do shit for black people. Don't worry. Now we good. We got to send all these little newly freshly minted black political analysts that are in these tweets and in these damn Instagram messages yelling at black folks for even thinking about voting Trump or not voting. We got to send them back packing and going, look, you don't tell us shit about what we're doing with our vote. As a matter of fact, since you feel so politically involved now and you want to do something and you so worried about the black community voting, you go take your black Sambo ass back to whoever sent you over here and you tell them that if they want our vote, they got to do X, Y, and Z. That's the first step. This is how they've come at us every single time. They come at us with these shaming tactics and these threats and these scare tactics. It's not going to work this time. See, because a lot of the stuff that's on Agenda 2025, it's not black people specific. A lot of the stuff that's on Agenda 2025 threatens the life and livelihood of white women, threatens the life and livelihood of white gays and black gays, threatens the life and livelihood of immigrants. None of that shit has anything to do with us. And if we suffer a little bit, nigga, we're black folks. like we done made it through the worst of the worst this country has to offer. Even if you had a thing talking about bringing slavery back, that sounds like a problem for y'all. Like, let's keep it real. Black folks, we're built so damn forward tough. We wasn't even really tripping when there was lockdowns during COVID. Some black folks didn't even know there was lockdowns because that's the way the police treat them all the time. During lockdown, that was some of the smoothest times for black folks. Look, this is how you know how tough black people are. You know black people are tough and built to take hard times because when hard times hit everybody else, magically that happens to be the time where things get easiest for us. You notice that? During 9/11, when the Arabs was tripping because now the Arabs had to be the nigger for a minute, right? The Arabs were getting searched and seized and just ran up on, and their businesses getting searched and all kinds of shit. Everybody was tripping off of the Patriot Act and people spying on them, and black folks was like, business as usual. During COVID, when they had checkpoints and shit like that, or during them riots, I'm living in Seattle where a portion of the city broke off and tried to become its own city, like a Batman episode, right? Became I forgot what it was called, like Tent City or whatever it was called. The Capitol Hill, whatever the hell it was called. Black folks wasn't even aware we was in a lockdown. How are you going to tell a bunch of people that all these lockdowns are imposing on our freedom as Americans when all y'all was cool with black folks getting stopped and frisked? Stop and frisk is on right now. Don't nobody give a damn because it just largely happens to black people. You can't really scare black people with anything. You can't even come to black people and go, guys, if they vote Trump back in, they're going to just start randomly shooting black people. They do that now. like they shot a bunch of black people in a grocery store. Niggas talked about it for like one day. The scare tactics aren't going to work. I suspect that the scare tactics aren't going to last much longer than probably 2 more weeks, because I'm already seeing on the internet organically people are tearing into that ass on a lot of these little wannabe influencers. See, when you're just being fed a bunch of talking points and somebody refutes what you say with their own facts, you got to go back to your source to get new talking points. It's not very efficient. The point of being a parrot, the point of being a repeating microphone, the point of being a puppet is just that you're just supposed to repeat what you were told to say. And if enough of you do it, it creates the appearance of a critical mass. Oh, all these people are saying this. But if you're just parroting some talking points and the critical mass is people responding to you, shouting you back down, going, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You need more people. You got to go back to your source and get your next line to recite. So I don't think that this approach is going to work for very long at all in the black community. This is the same shit that they tried during COVID to get black folks to take the shot. And black folks ended up being one of the main groups of people that didn't take no damn shot. We're going to roll right into the next phase, which is going to be trying to promote gender war between black people, between black men and black women. They're going to try to aim at the black women first and get the black women to get the black men in line. And I suspect that's going to go very poorly because black women and black men aren't getting along very well right now. So black men aren't going to be the go along to get along group that we normally are when it comes to voting with our black women. Niggas have been sitting back quietly grumbling about how we get shitted on after elections, despite the fact that we only vote about 2 to 5% lower than black women. But we get shitted on. And now we're realizing, wait a minute, black men get shitted on for voting for the Democratic Party because we don't vote enough. Black women get patted on the head for voting for the Democratic Party because they vote enough. But don't neither of us really get shit for it. And when the scare tactics and the shaming tactics and the divide and conquer tactics don't work no more, and we're close to election time, all that's left is offering some shit. The Democratic Party has used all its weapons. Remember, Joe Biden went into the first presidential debate this year against Donald Trump behind. He went in behind on the polls. He went in after all those trumped up, no pun intended, criminal charges from everything from January 6th to having sex with a prostitute or a porn star, to illegal funding of his campaign, to leaking secret documents, everything you could imagine. Like they keep repeating. Airplane overhead. Like they keep repeating. This man got 34 plus criminal convictions. They don't ever tell you that all 34 plus criminal convictions came from kangaroo courts directly from Joe Biden's administration. But 34 plus convictions is 34 plus convictions, right? This nigga got multiple mugshots, all this stuff. All these scandals going on. You did all of this. You spent all that political capital fighting off and preventing a primary, fighting off and preventing challenges. Joe Biden's been openly using his position in office to take out political enemies, including Donald Trump. And after all of that, you've been doing this for 3.5 years. You got the media in your back pocket, covering up any mess ups you've been doing and amplifying and generating stories on your political enemies. After all of that and all those advantages, you had the debate set up to be completely advantage for you. Donald Trump had to agree to every demand your administration made. That whole setup was set up to make you look good. After all of that, you went in behind. With all those advantages, you still went in the polls behind. And you went in the polls behind with groups of people that are supposed to be your base. You came in after all of that behind, and you were really riding on having a good showing at the debate, and you laid that stinker of an egg. That's how you went in with all the king's horses and all the king's men, completely willing to lie to the American people right in their face and say, he looks good. He's your president. I don't want to hear anything. He's your president elect. It's him or nothing. Matter of fact, it's not even or nothing. It's him. He is him. And you laid such a bad egg down at that debate that you got those people saying, yeah, we need a new guy. Worse still, and I've repeated this before, you got white people openly giving the game away and admitting, see, because under normal circumstances, if this is any other president in history, well, you just put the vice president in, right? You have the president step down. You put the vice president in. People understand after that showing that, hey, I have all these ideas. I'm Joe Biden, but I'm not cognitively fit to be president. So I'm handing over the reins to a fit and vital vice president that's been sitting here in my stead, who's been sitting here waiting to replace me. That's literally what the vice president's job is. This person's going to take over. And now the only question is going to be, who's going to be this person's successor? We're going to put Kamala and her VP choice as the ticket, and that's who we're running with. And we're going to all be a team, and this is how it's going to go. That's how things would go under normal circumstances as they were presented to you. That's what a vice president is for, right? But now you got white folks, you got white talking heads openly giving the game away that part of the reason why this is such a quagmire is that they can't have Joe Biden step down because Kamala Harris, the black woman, quote unquote, who they put in as vice president, as white folks are now admitting, is just there symbolically. She's just there symbolically. They wanted her to be the president initially because they thought they were going to get another Barack Obama situation. We can rope the niggers in for another 4 to 8, maybe even 16 years of faithful voting because we can say we gave you a black president and a black female president. But after seeing how she talks, and more importantly, after seeing how black folks have become a little bit more politically wise, to not just fall for the optics of a blackish person in a position. After black folks, thanks to Yvette Carnell, was just eviscerating this woman by just simply bringing up her track record in public office and how horrible she was, and how horrible she was specifically to black people, and how horrible she was specifically to black women, and how horrible she was specifically to black children. Her optics don't even look good. You can't push her as she's the black female president. She got a white Jewish husband. You went to a HBCU and couldn't find a nigger. Like how horrible are you at being black? Say what you want about Barack Obama. He understood the optics. Barack Obama loved white women, but he understood I'm not going to get the black vote if I don't have a black wife and black kids. That's essentially what we voted for when we voted for Barack Obama. We voted for a happy-looking black family in the White House. We voted for optics and symbolism. That's as good of optics and symbolism that you can get. And now you want us to get the watered-down version of Obama, who's nowhere near the speaker and charismatic person that Obama was? No. But you jammed her through anyway because you needed that symbolic politics to get the black folks on board. And you put yourself in a corner because now when you're in a position to where you got to actually use that vice president, how vice presidents get used, it's coming out that y'all don't really respect her as no politician, as no president. And you had no intentions on making her the president should anything come to pass. So you put the person in vice president whose job it is to take over for president if anything goes wrong. You put the worst person who you never had intentions on putting in if anything goes wrong. You put that person in that position as vice president. And then you put as president the person who's most likely for things to go wrong with. Like, even if Joe Biden had his mental faculties, as old as he is, he's probably one of the most recent presidents. He's probably the most likely of president in recent times to die in office. To have something medical happen where he's just out for the count. He fuck around has a stroke. Can't talk, can't move. Can't move the left side of his body or something. And now you gotta have the vice president step in. You put the worst possible combo in there. The person that's most likely to be out of office with the person that's least likely to step up if the person's out of office. You got white talking heads and tastemakers in the party openly talking about and openly mulling over the fact that they want to just get rid of Kamala Harris. They want to put somebody in who's serious, but they know that they're already in trouble with the black vote. They're already in hot water with black people. And even though she's not popular with black people, and this is white people saying this, you see, for all the flack that black people give black people about not sticking together, white folks know. White folks understand. They're like, we can't pull her out because black folks, this is white folks saying this, black folks, as much as they don't like her, they will stand up for her. They don't like the optics of us just admitting we weren't serious about her. And we forced her in there. We forced her in there against black people's desires. We forced her in there because a few uppity black women wrote a letter demanding that she get in, or demanding that a black woman get in that position. Even though the black masses never said shit about no Kamala Harris. We told you we don't like her. We forced her in there. And now when shit gets real, when we actually got to use her, we're going to expose that we just used her for political capital. No, black folks is like, no. You want her, you got her. And you're going to stick with her. And they know that the optics of removing that black female vice president and leapfrogging somebody else in front of her will turn the black vote off. That's the real reason they can't have Joe Biden step down. You know that, right? If anybody else was in that vice presidential spot, if Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg or Hillary Clinton were in that vice presidential spot, they would have been made that shift. They would have been made that shift. But right now they're in a position of moving Joe Biden means one of two things. Move Kamala Harris in as president, and you're going to get a nominal, if anything, bump in the black vote and lose the election because nobody else wants to vote for Kamala Harris. Or remove Kamala Harris or put somebody in as president to still be over Kamala Harris, keep her as vice president, or just remove her from the ticket altogether and risk pissing off your base vote, the black vote, to the point to where everybody else is with that idea, but the black vote stays home and you lose the election anyway. That's the conundrum that the Democratic Party is in. That's the thing I hear them mull over all the time. I listen to these white shows. I listen to the Breaking Points. I listen to The Hill. I listen to Politics Now. I listen to these channels. And I listen to these white folks. I listen to Jimmy Dore. And I listen to these white folks opine about how They really backed themselves into a corner using Kamala Harris. They want to get rid of her, but they know they can't. So when you hear them talk about the Joe Biden conundrum, it's not really about Joe Biden. It's really about Kamala. If Kamala wasn't in the mix and it was anybody else's vice president right now, the solution would be simple. They have no problems forcing Joe Biden out. Remember, Hillary Clinton was the one that was able to get Joe Biden not to run in 2016. They have no problems getting Joe Biden to step down. He's not no real threat like that. The real problem is, what do we do with Kamala? This is all about the black vote. This is why the only primary candidate that they were actually really scared of, the only person that they were really, really scared of was West. Cornel West scared the shit out of the Democratic Party. Not because he had some great policy ideas or because he had a plan that was really going to sway the black vote or sway the American vote. It's because he was a black dude. And they knew this is all about optics. And he might steal just enough of the black vote. See, there's this misconception that you need to go grab 100% of the black vote or need 100% of the black vote to do. No, 5% of the black vote in this election could sway the entire election. And Cornel West could definitely grab 5%. Matter of fact, 5% of the black vote in a state can sway the election. Let that be Wisconsin. Let that be Georgia. 5% of the black vote in a key state can decide the presidential election. And you're throwing in a black guy to run against Joe Biden in the prime. No. Very scary shit. So the Democratic Party is scared shitless right now. They've deployed all of their black minions to go on social media and try to shout black people into submission. Deep down, and probably not even that deep down, they know that shit's not going to work. Like I said earlier, they came on too late with this whole Agenda 2025 scare tactic. Black folks are only but a few years removed from myth busting all the COVID talk. We caught too many lies before. Black folks and people in general in America do not have a trusting relationship with the official words of their government. That's what the real problem is. They've had to admit all the convictions that they've gotten on Trump, all the bad publicity they've gotten on Trump, none of it has had any kind of an effect on the polls. People don't give a shit. Because they can see right through it. And no one sees Donald Trump as a hero. They see Donald Trump as a useful tool to attack their government with. They know that their government is scared shitless at the idea of a Donald Trump inefficiently running the reins of power again, setting them back another 4 years. Black folks are aware of this too. We know we're not going to get nothing out of a Donald Trump presidency. We just know it's going to damage you. And you've been damaging us for so long. We'd love to see you on the business end of damage for once, right? We have to make sure that these influencers shouting all this political shit, these influencers who have taken a break from their stankin' ass twerk videos and gender war videos and prank videos and product review videos. We have to make sure that they realize that taking a couple of dollars on the side from the Democratic Party to come parrot some speaking points on some shit you don't know about to the black community, that's not going to work. Nigga, you had an OnlyFans 2 weeks ago, and now you're speaking on politics. And this is why I don't really be doing my show that much. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. Like all of y'all, I got a real life. I got kids. I got a business that I run. I got a day job that I do. I got things I like to go do. I'm out dating and having fun, summertime. I see a lot of content creators. First of all, I think that's a horrible content creator. Just sounds generic and soulless. Not artist. Not, oh, I'm a musician. I create music. I'm an artist. I create art. I draw. I color. I'm a writer. I write poetry. I write scripts. Nigga, you're a content creator. I produce content. That just sounds like blah, right? And when you look at a lot of these content creators, bold, underline, italics, the black ones, I feel like the better term for content creator is a hoe. Male or female, gay or straight, you're a hoe because you're just doing shit that the crowd likes to get super chat money and shit. You're not really bringing anything real to the table. You're not telling people things they need to hear. You're not educating anybody. You're not informing anybody. You will literally do anything for money. You'll literally go on camera. You're worse than an entertainer because you'll literally go on a camera and just do or say anything for super chats. And if you want to see the epitome of this, if you want to see this stretched out to its extreme, go look up these non-playable character type people who go online. These are real content creators who their job is to just go online, be in front of a camera, and literally say anything. You press a button and just say anything, and they'll just say it. I like cheese. I like cheese. I like cheese. Grape, 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 grape. Just say random shit. And you send them super chat money and they'll do it. They'll just do whatever. The black ones are by far the worst because you niggas will even coon. Like, I want to do a separate episode on this. You niggas are what I like to call cyber coons. You niggas will tap dance and do that old soft shoe on the internet for super chats. You niggas will come on here and do all kinds of, like, just a few short years ago, black folks, real black folks, we were offended by the production of a play called Slave Play, where they had the slaves, they had depicted like the slaves were having a good old time with white folks during slavery, and they was dancing and twerking on white folks and shit, having a good old jolly time during slavery. And you had white folks in the audience clapping and singing along to goddamn Rihanna songs and shit while they whooping the shit at us. And we were really offended by that depiction of slavery. And 2024 come to look, and this shit didn't came out live in color. Because you niggas are slave playing on the internet every day. I see niggas making whole channels pandering to white folks. The worst kind of white folks. It's not like you guys are pandering to white folks by making, potato salad recipes with raisins and shit like that. Like that'd be fine. Those are just regular white folks, harmless white folks. You niggas are making like alt-right channels and shit for white people. I follow a lot of sports and boxing and stuff. I see black boxing content creators kowtowing to the racist side of white folks and sports all the time. I see you niggas laying on your back and kicking your legs up and exposing your belly like some submissive ass dogs on the internet all the time because you guys will get super chats and likes and retweets from white folks in that circle if you do that. I see niggas do goofy ass prank video channels and shit and just doing annoying ass trolling content because that's what your audience likes to see. And when you do stuff like that, anytime you start getting paid for something, I don't give a damn how much you're getting paid, you are going to become dependent on that money. And if what you do to get that money that you depend on consistently, if what you do to get that money that you depend on is you got to come out here and coon it up a little bit, That means that the focus is always on you increasing your cooning. You're going to have to keep doing more and more and more stuff to keep your audience in tune, because that's what they came to see. I see a lot of people's channels change once they hit that high note. Once they do something that gets a certain reaction out of the audience, and now they got to keep doing it. They got to keep doing it. Hell, even my channel. I make episodes on my channel talking about black politics in America. But every now and then I have an episode where I got to put these Africans in check. And wouldn't you know it, those are the episodes that get the most reaction. Now, if you look at my channel, I got like 50 episodes up. Of 50 episodes, I got probably about 4 to 5 of them that are about Africans and African immigrants, because immigration was a major topic that we were dealing with in the black community. So every now and then I do got to update y'all on what's going on. And the Africans just kept putting themselves out there. But I had to take a breather at one point, and I said, I don't want to be the anti-African channel. I don't even have a hatred for Africans. I just don't want Africans doing tethery shit in my country. That's it. But I get asked all the time, hey man, make another video on Africans. No, I'm not going to just keep shooting shots at Africans because that's what gets me a super chat or two. I didn't come on here to make money. I didn't come on here. I get good money from my business and my day job. I don't need to come on here. When I look at most content creators, especially most black content creators, most of you niggas look like you're panhandling. Most of y'all look like you just got a tin cup, or you got a little paper cup out. And if you do a nice little soft shoe for these white folks, they'll put enough money in the cup so that you can, so you can eat. And for that money in that cup, you'll say or do anything. You'll say or do anything. And the problem with being somebody that'll say or do anything, especially on the internet, is that you have to keep upping the ante to keep that audience. Just like some hoes. You might as well have an OnlyFans. I know girls that got OnlyFans, and they start off the same way every time. Oh, I'm just going to take a couple sexy pictures. I'm going to do a couple videos. I'm not really going to show nothing or do nothing. I'm just giving them a couple videos. Then that money gets good to them. See, first that money gets good to you. Then your audience starts falling off because they're used to the content you've been creating, and you got to do something to draw them back in. Oh, I'm going to show a little more skin. Oh, I'm just going to have a toy. I'm not going to have nobody. Man, you see them girls 6 weeks later and they do it full on porn. Full on porn. Because they need that money to come in. Ain't nobody on the end. I don't give a damn how much money they're making. I don't give a damn if it's Mr. Beast. Nobody's saving and investing that money like that. Because one of the first rules of getting money is when you start getting money, your mind adapts to thinking that you're always going to get money like that. That's why drug dealers get caught up. That's why hustlers and scammers get caught up. Don't nobody get in the game real quick and then get out the game. That's very rare. Most people get in the game and then that just becomes their profession. You making $10,000, $20,000 every week selling dope. What are you going to do? Stop? Or when I make $2 million, I'm going to stop. I'm going to invest this into property. No, you're going to keep dealing dope until you get killed or you get arrested. That's how that shit goes, because you get addicted to making the money. Second thing that happens is your expenses start catching up. Your lifestyle starts catching up with your income. You was making $50,000 a month at first off of YouTube, and you was balling. $50,000 a month. Most people make $50,000 in a year. You making $50,000 a month in YouTube, you're balling. But guess what starts happening? Now you got a $50,000 a month lifestyle. Oh, snap. Maybe this month you only made $20,000 off of YouTube, which would be great for anybody else. But you're a $50,000 a month nigga. You just came up 30,000 short. What are you going to do? The second you start doing stuff to keep your super chats up and to keep your followers up and to keep this up and keep this going, now you are a hoe. And I didn't want to be a hoe. I got a life to live. I got stuff I'm doing. I'm doing this to tell y'all about black politics, to give y'all tactics, to give y'all strategy, to make sure that you see what I'm seeing, because they slip a lot of sneaky shit through. I don't think a lot of black people watch the shows that I watch, pay attention to the people I pay attention to. Not like I'm some kind of super smart uber genius. It's just that I'm looking in a direction that most niggas ain't looking in. And I'm like, hey, y'all see that? Y'all see that person over there? I'd like to be free to do that. I don't want to ever have to come on this mic, pause, and say some shit with the hopes that I'm going to get a super chat or the hopes that I don't alienate my fan. I could say something today that pissed 90% of y'all off and y'all walk. But it's the truth, or it's how I felt, and I'm going to stand on it because I'm not a hoe. But most of you niggas that are content, like, just listen to how generic that sounds. They don't even call you an influencer no more. You're a content creator. You're just putting out mass product. That's like calling somebody who's a chef or a cook. Oh, what are you? Oh, I'm a sustenance creator. What do? I create sustenance. It's just mass with protein in it that you just consume so that you can keep living. There's no flavor involved. There's no art to it. There's no culinary mastery involved. I just boil some shit and I throw some salt on it and I give it to you and you eat it and you shit it out. It's in your mouth and out your ass in about an hour and a half. Like, just listen to how droll that sounds. That's how you can tell how empty the life of a content creator is. It starts to become time to make the donuts. It starts to become, oh, I gotta consistently put out this content. Doesn't matter if it's good. Doesn't matter if it's bad. Doesn't matter if it's informative. Doesn't matter if it's fulfilling. Doesn't matter if it's true. I just gotta keep putting it out so niggas will keep watching. You know how many fake channels, you know how many fake videos, how many clickbaity ass videos I gotta go through in the sports world alone and waste my damn time and go, oh, this nigga just made this video with this weak ass title to trick me into watching this shit. I don't even be hitting the like button on niggas just because I'm watching your channel. I gotta sit through your channel and sit through your show and see if I even liked it first before I hit the like button. That's why I don't like niggas always trying to shame people. Oh, you guys, we got 6,000 people in the chat. We only got 5,000 likes. Get the likes. Man, fuck your likes. I'm waiting for you to get to the part that I'm going to like first, nigga. I know the like button's there. I came to you with this episode because I feel genuinely inspired to tell you what I just told you. I think that this election, for more reasons than one, for all the reasons that I just listed, is heating up and is very interesting and presents a very rare opportunity for black people as voters. Now we're in a position. I'm going to be straight up. We haven't really been playing this whole politics game very well this last 4 years. We have not. We bumbled our hand with Obama. We've been giving our vote away for free for the last 50 years and have almost nothing to show for it. We've done everything wrong. But by the grace of God, look at how the cards have laid out. They still always lay out in our favor. If that ain't God, I don't know what is. We're the type of person where we could be black people. We're the people standing in front of a house like Charlie Chaplin. The entire front of the house falls towards us. We don't move because we're too dumb. But somehow, by the grace of God, the one spot we were standing in was where there was an open window and we come out completely unharmed. That's the black vote. We're dealing with people that have think tanks and spies and the entire media and a whole military industrial complex at their disposal. And they're losing to us because we got God. We're actually decent people. For as badly as we get painted in the media, we're actually the most decent people. And I have a hard time explaining this to black folks about what we really look like and who we really are. and what position we're actually in. And we're in the catbird seat. We're in the position of power, if we knew it, when it comes to politics, because they cannot win a single election without the black vote. That's why you don't ever hear the Democratic Party say something like, we need to really go ahead and make sure that the Hispanics turn up this time. We got to really get the gay vote to turn out. Oh boy, if we can get white women to show up at those polls. It's always just niggas. But they're banking on and they're betting on us not knowing what we know about them. They're betting on and banking on us not knowing what we know about us and our position. And it's my job to keep reminding people the reason why they're all in your face all the time about you showing up to vote is because they can't win without you. That's why. The reason why they're scared to pull Kamala out, which is what they really want to do. If you ask a million white people in the Democratic Party, you will get a million people, 100% to zero, saying we want to get Kamala out of there. Their problem is not that they want to replace Joe Biden. Their problem is that they want to replace Joe Biden and Kamala. And they can't touch Kamala. We're so powerful of a voting bloc, we don't even like Kamala. And they can't touch her because we might get irritated. That's how powerful we are. So I want you to keep an eye on this thing as it matures. And it's gonna and it's gonna end up going exactly like I told you. First comes the threats of Agenda 2025 and the shouting at us and the frustration, because that's the desperation of those blacks. They know that if they can't get niggas to vote, they are out on their ass. That's their desperation talking. First comes the threats and the shouting. Then comes the divide and conquer between black men and black women. That's going to be the challenge, in my opinion, because I think that's going to persuade a lot of black women. I think a lot of black women are privy to falling for that. But black women, once it becomes clear you can't bring in the black male vote because the black men ain't coming this time, you have to do it on your own, and you can't do it on your own. Same way we couldn't do it on our own. Black men and black women are the black vote. You come with one half, it ain't going to be enough. And I want black women to see how the Democratic Party starts talking about you once it becomes clear that you can't come through on that thing that they need you to come through on. First, it's going to be the threats. Then it's going to be divide and conquer. When those two things don't work, here come the black celebrities. You think it's irritating seeing black content creators that don't normally ever talk about politics start talking about politics? Wait until you see all these corny ass black celebrities pop up trying to get you to vote. You're going to start seeing black folks you ain't never heard talk about no presidential election shit before in their lives start talking to you about policies. Damn, why is Gucci Mane talking to us about the tax rate? And you got to send them niggas packing to, hey, Lil Wayne, love the Carter and all, but I don't want to hear shit you got to say about the president. Because when we came to you talking about Black Lives Matter, nigga, you said my life matters. Remember how quiet all these black celebrities were when George Floyd was getting choked the fuck out on live TV. These niggas was nowhere to be found during them George Floyd riots. Only nigga that was down, the only nigga that was moving was J. Cole, right? That was it. You too, Kendrick. You niggas wasn't saying shit. All of y'all was just as quiet as Drake. And when all the black celebrities fall, when the threats don't work and the scare tactics don't work and the divide and conquer fails and the black celebrities can't come through, last and only comes the promises. That's where we get active. That's where we got to start making them put those promises in writing somewhere. Put it in a policy. If you can tell me, vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and I'll pass such and such law, I'll pass the such and such bill that includes this, that, and the third, now we're talking. And no, don't you dare come to us talking about some shit you already quote unquote did and how that's going to disproportionately affect, but I don't want to hear disproportionately affect shit. I'm doing this for the blacks. Stop Asian hate doesn't disproportionately help Asians. That shit is for Asian people. That's what it says in the opening lines, right? When you pass federal laws for gays, you didn't say, well, it's going to trickle up to some gays. No, didn't nothing trickle for the gays, which is ironic. You had shit specifically for the gays. All these immigrant goodies that you're giving away, that shit's to immigrants. You have no problem identifying, focusing, and targeting policy towards certain groups when you want to. You will be doing that with niggas this time. Signing off.